If you enjoy learning the Cherokee language with RSU TV, join our Signal Society. Your monthly gift of $10 a month ensures that RSU TV can continue to produce programs like the Cherokee language classes. Click the link in the description or call 1-800-823-7210 to join today.
Oseonegod, and welcome back to Cherokee 2 here at RSU TV. Galielig Jaged Okohig. I'm glad to be here today. So we've been working through this story, and we've told it. We're now on our third version of the story, and this version is a little more complicated. It's a little more complex. The nice thing about doing it this way, or scaffolding these stories, is because you already have words that you're well familiar with, and then we'll introduce just a few more words that you're not familiar with, and that will help support your learning. All right? So this is Chaneline. This is the 8th Cherokee lesson, okay? So, come. Idalena. Chalagi idiwoni. Again, we're working on how to introduce ourselves. There are lots of things that you can say when you introduce yourself, and we're going to talk about several of them. One of the things that I think is fairly cultural, however, is to talk about who our parents are, because that establishes family relationships. And so many times when you hear a Cherokee person introduce themselves, they'll introduce the name of their parents, or maybe even sometimes their grandparents, depending on how old they are. But this seems to be a fairly common practice in a lot of Cherokee communities, or for a lot of speakers. So we've learned quite a bit, but today we're going to learn about how to introduce our parents, and how to talk about our parents. And you may remember from Cherokee 1, we've learned some parent terms like eji, edod, things like that. But we're going to learn a little bit different version of it, okay? So to introduce your parents, you're going to start and you'll say agiji. Agiji, that means my mother, agiji, okay? Eji means mom or mother, but when you say agiji, that means my mother, agiji. And then you would say whatever the name was, and then you will say du don, or du don, okay? So we say dawa don for my name, deja don, your name, du don, his or her name. So, as an example, I would say agiji, Peggy, du don, okay? Or I would say agiji, Peggy Blevins, du don, okay? Then you say agitotano, okay? Agitotano. You can leave the no off. This seems to be kind of some speakers use it a lot. Other speakers rarely use it. So you can use it or you don't have to. That no, what it does in a sentence is it kind of says, well, this may be a new sentence, but it's attached to the sentence in front, okay? It's a continuation of the thought from previously, okay? So you say agitota, or you can say agitota no, or you can say agidot, okay? My father, agidot, okay? Agidota. But in a sentence, if you're saying him in second, you say agito no. Dennis Fields do don't. Okay, in my case, I would say Dennis Fields do don't. Okay. I also might say Dennis Fields jigesa do don't, because my father has passed already. So I might say, use the word jigesa to talk about somebody who's passed. This used to be more common. It's not used quite as much now, but you do still hear speakers use that word jigesa to reference somebody who used to be living but is no longer alive. Jigesa means that used to be. Okay, so we'll go through it one more time. You say Agiji. Peggy Blevins do don't. Agito no. Dennis Fields jigesa do don't. Okay, so hopefully you understood that. I could do it the other way. I could talk about my dad first, so I could say Agito Dennis Fields jigesa do don't. Agiji no. Peggy Blevins do don't. Okay, so you notice I put the no at the end of Agiji. Whatever your second person is, you can add no to the end of it. But you don't have to. It's perfectly comprehensible if you leave it out, okay? It's kind of a personal preference, I suppose. You can do it either way. You don't have to do it, but you can if you want to. And you'll notice when somebody does use it, you'll know what they're meaning now, okay? All right. So the next part that we're going to talk about is conversational Cherokee. Cherokee that we can use with people that we love or people that we come in contact with. So last time we talked about putting shoes on and taking them off. This one is a really common thing to say. So let's go outside. Doyatid, doyatid. That means outside. Doyatid. Okay, idena, idena. That means us go outside. Doyatid, idena. So let's go outside. Doyatid, idena. Okay. Now, if you just want to throw your kids outside and get them out of the house while you get something done, you say doyatid huena, huena. Okay, if you look at the syllabary, this says he, we, na. Hue, hue. Okay, huena. Doyatid, huena. Okay, go outside. That means go outside. Doyatid, huena. Okay, you could also say utli huena, utli huena. That means like go away. Okay, go away from me. Utli, away. Okay, utli huena. Or you could say, dita natna huena. Maybe. You could say, go to the store. Dita natna huena. Go to the store. But in this case, we're going to say, doyatid huena. Doyatid huena. Go outside. Okay. Doyatid idena. Let's go outside. Us. Both of us. Okay. Are all of us. Okay. Doyatid idena. Let's go outside. Okay, doyatid huena. You go outside. Doyatid huena. All right? Okay, so as promised, I think I have fixed all of the spelling errors that were previously in our story about Jutli and G-stun. Okay? Hopefully I've fixed them all. So I'm going to read what we've done so far. Remember, we're adding dialogue to it. So the dialogue will help introduce you to vocabulary that you can use on a daily basis, talking about things that are going on right now. And that's why dialogue in learning is so important. All right? So I'm going to read this as it is. I'm going to try to read it at least a couple of times. The first time, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go slow. Again, you have the choice, depending on what your goals are. If you want to improve your reading comprehension, then follow along with your finger as I read, or just kind of, follow along in the air. If, however, your goal is for comprehension, oral listening comprehension, then close your eyes. As I read it, try to picture where we're at in the story. By now, I think you're probably pretty familiar with the story. So try to go through and this first time as I read it, I'll translate it. The next time I read it through, I won't translate it and I'll just read it through, okay? So I'm gonna put my glasses on. So, Ilahiu Jagesa, long time ago, Nigada, all inage ane, wild animals, dan tlano he, could talk to each other. Jistan ulse gese, the crawdad was unique or special. Gado ale amon ijul ganelo. Gado, the earth, ale amon and water, ijula, both, ganelo, they lived. Sawu iga, one day. Jistan, crawdad. Tlawutu, mud. Amayulti, near the water. Na'a, adan sini donha. Okay, or near the edge of the water. Adan sini donha, he was crawling around. Na'a, nearby. Jutli, fox. Uwotle, was sitting. Unlenahe, they started. Dan tlano heska, talking. Jutli, fox. Utadane, asked. Do you really, hisanul, you are fast. Amon, in the water. Gadohina, okay, what about on the earth or on the ground? Utloyas, are you the same? Hisanul, fast, are you the same? Fast. Dota, yes, really, jisanul, I am fast. Udane, said Jistan, the crawdad. Yigin toki, if we raced. Ahid, easily. Ahid, easily. Yigalohis, I would beat you. Gele, I think. Okay. Tla yiga go tisko. Okay. I've never seen you. Gadon hatli doha, on the earth. Hatli doha, running. I've never seen you running on the earth. Tlawo tu hewu, only in the mud. Go ti ho, do I see you? Hadan sini doha, crawling around. Udane jutli, said the fox. Tla do hieli, if you don't believe me, okay, ni galstiwu yin toki, let's race sometime. Udane Jistan, said the crawdad. Hawa, okay. Udane jutli, said the fox. No dun yin toki. Now, let's race. All right? Okay, I will read it through one more time. Well, I'll read it through two more times, okay? This first time, I will read it through super, super slow, and then I'll read it through at a little more of a conversational pace. Again, you may either follow along with your finger, the reading, or you can close your eyes and just listen to the words and try to follow it that way, okay? Come, Idalena. Ilahiu jagesa ni goda inage anehe dan tlano ke. Gistan ulsek ke se. Gardon ale amon ijul ganelon. Sawu iga. Gistan tlawotu amayulte na adan sini doha. Na jutli uwotle. Unlena he dan plano heska. Jutli utadane. Doyu hisanul amon. Gadohina. Utloyas hisanul. Dodan gisanul. Udane gistan. Yigin toki ahid yigalohis gele. Tla yigagotisko gadon hatlidoha. Tlawo tuhi wu gagoti ho. Hadan sini doha udane jutli. Tla do hele nigasti wu yin toki udane gistan. Hawa udane jutli. No da yin toki. Right? Try to read it through one more time, a little bit quicker, okay? Ila hujagesa ni god inage ane he dan plano heske. Gistan ulse gese. Gadon ale amon ijul ganelon. Sawu iga. Gistan tlawotu amayulti na adansini doha. Na jutli uwotle. Unlena he dan plano heska. Jutli utadane. Doyu hisanu amon. Gadohina. Utloyas hisanul. Dodan gisanul udane gistan. Yigin toki ahid yigalohi skele. Tlayiga gotis kon gadon hatli doha. Tlawo tuhin iwu gagoti ho hadan sini doha udane jutli. Tlado hele nigosti wu yin toki udane gistan. Hawa udane jutli noda yin toki. Okay, hopefully you're able to follow that. So let's continue with adding a little bit more to the story, okay? So it goes on. It says, Hawa udane gistan. Okay, okay. Udane gistan, said the crawdad. Galgog 7 gadusi. Hills dunuk tane. They decided. Munatlasti. To run across. Okay. Hawa udane gistan. Galgog gadusi dunuk tane munatlasti. Okay. That part, most of it should be fairly familiar to you. Okay? Akayi, we got lutsa, galgogine gadusi. Akayi means the first. Akayi, we got lutsa, to arrive. Galgogine, the seventh. Gadusi, hill. We dige pluhskesti. He's going to yell out. He's going to yell. Okay? Udatlosa. 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 He's going to win. Gesesti. He'll be the winner. Hawa. Okay. udane, jutli. Gadu, okay, on top. Galelot, a high. Odala, mountain. Wunilosa, they went. Hawa, udane, jutli. Gadu, galelot, odala, wunilosa. Okay? So, okay, said the fox. On top of a high mountain they went. They went to the top of a high mountain. Unano galko gadusi dunisu yesa una tleste. So, this sentence is almost the same as the other version. There's just one other little word there. Okay? Una. Una means there. Okay? Unano and there. Galkog, 7, Gadusi, hills, Dunisuyesa. Do you remember what that word, Dunisuyesa, what that means? Dunisuyesa, to choose, they chose them. They chose them. Wunatlasti, where they were going to run. Okay? So they chose the 7 hills that they were going to run across. Unano, Elat Galelat Galkog you walked do non Nikki. Okay? So Elat down, Galelat up. Galkog you walked 7 times. You walked means times. Galkog you walked 7 times. Do non Nikki. They are going to go. Okay? They're going. So 7 times they're going to go up and down. Unlena wu wet lune wundanostana. Okay, unlena, when it started, wu wet lune. He yelled. Okay, woon. I believe this should be woon. Woon wet lune. Woon wet lune. Okay? To me that makes more sense. Okay? Unlena woon wet lune. Woon danostana. Woon danostana. Okay, so that word, that's a new word for you. Woon danostana. So when it started, they yelled and they took off running. This wundanostana means to take off running, to start running. Okay, they started running. Okay, wundanostana, wundanostana. Okay, wundanostana. That's to take off running. Wundanostana, wundanostana. To begin running. Okay. Uskanolino gese gistan. Okay, here we have that little no sound. It's completely optional. Okay, but this is kind of goes with the taking off running. So this is the crawdad was slow. Okay, that no just means that that's how he took off. The previous sentence, you know, they talked about that they yelled and they took off running. Uskanolino and slow gese was gistan, the crawdad, and slow was the crawdad. Okay, jutli, ulohi sele, gistan, to pass by. Jutli, ulohi sele, gistan. So the fox passed by ulohi sele, the crawdad. Gistan, wajiniya sele, hopefully you recognize that word. Wajiniya sele. Jutli, ganidatna. Okay. Hopefully you recognize those words. Jutli, ganidatna. What is gani dot dun? Do you remember? It's tail. Okay. Wajini sele. He grabbed onto it. He grabbed a hold of it. Okay. Wajini sele. Okay. Jutli. Ulohi sele jistan. Ulohi sele. He passed by. Okay. Okay. Nole, and then Wukitlene, he got up, Jutli Ganitatan, onto the fox's tail. Utlist, fast. Jutli Wutlistana, the fox ran, Wutlistana. Okay. So this is basically saying the fox was running fast. Okay. Nole wukitlane jutli kanidata. And then he got up on the fox's tail. Okay. Ganidata. Wukitlon jistan. Okay. The crawdad rode around Wukitlon ganidata on the tail. Wuni lucha galkogine gadusi jutli uwetlune. Okay, Wuni lucha when they arrived, Wuni lucha when they arrived, galkogine at the 7th gadusi hill, jutli uwetlune. Okay, the fox yelled. Here's that word again, unano, and there, jutli na'a, next to the fox, jistan uwetlune squaw. Okay, the crawdad squaw also uwetlune yelled out. Okay, so uwetlune squaw. Okay. All right. So let's go over that part and then we'll add it to the story that we've done up to this part. Okay? So again, let's work our way through it in syllabary, just word by word. And we'll go through and see how we do, okay? So, all right, let me switch this to the little red dot. Okay, it says, Hawa udane jistan gali gogi gadusi du nu go tane du nuk tane wuna tlusty. Okay, agayi we got luza gal gogine gadusi. We da ge tlu ha skesti. 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 Uda tlosa ge sesti. Uda tlosa. Win. Ge sesti. Will be the winner. Hawa udane jutli. Okay, said the fox. Gatu galalat odala wuni losa they went. On top, Gadu, Galilot, a high or Dala mountain. Unano, Galkog, Gadusi, Duni Suyesa, Muna Clasti. Galkog, Gadusi, Duni Suyesa, Muna Clasti. Elati, you could say Elat, Galalat, Galgogi, you walked, or you walked. Dunanigi, that's the new word. They went, or they go. They move, Dunanigi. They move 7 times, up and down. Unlena he. Wunwetlune. Wunadawistana. Okay. Wundaustana. Okay, they took off running. Wundaustana. Uskanolino, ge se gistan. Jutli, ulohi sele, gistan, wajiniya sele, jutli. Gani data nole wu ki lene jutli gani data utlist jutli wu tlustana gani data Wuki long Giston Muni lucha Galkogine Gadusi Jutli Uwetlune Unano na Jutli Giston Uwetlune squil. Okay? So we kind of worked our way through it. Let's see if we can add it to what we've already talked about and tell the whole story up to this point, okay? So I will try to, this time I will try to read it fairly slow, and I'll try to remember as many of the signs for the words as I can, okay? So, Ilahiyu jagesa nigada inage anehi dan plano heske gistana ulsek gese gadon ale amo ijula Ganelon Sawu Iga Gistan Tlawotu Amayulti Na Adan Sini Doha Na Jutli Uwotle Unlena he Dan Plano Heska Jutli utadane doyu hisanul amo gadohina utloyis hisanul doda jisanul udane jistan yigin toki ahid easily, ahid, easily. Yigalal, Yigalosko, Yigalohis beat you, gaily, I think. Okay. Clado Hieli, okay. Da Clado Hieli. If you don't think so, Nigalstiwu Yin Toki. Hawa Udane Jutli. No da Yin Toki. Hawa Udane Jistan. Galquog Gadusi. Dunuk Tane Wuna Tlusty. Agayi, we got Lucha, Galquogini Gadusi. We degate Luha Skesti. Uda Tlosa Gesesti. Hawa Udane Jutli. Okay, Hawa Udane Jutli. Gadu Galalat Odala Wunilosa. Unano Galgog Gadusi Dunisuyesa Wuna Plasti. Elat Galalat Galgog you walked Duninagi. Dunanigi. Unlenahe Wunwetlune Wunadaustana Uskanole no Gese Gistan Jutli Ulohisele Gistan. Okay. Gistan Wajiniya Sele Jutli Ganidata. Nole Wukit Lerne Jutli Ganidata. Utlist Jutli Wutlustana. Ganidata Wukit Long Gistan. Wuni Luta Galgogine Gadusi Jutli Uwetlune. Unano Na Jutli Gistan Uwetlune Squil. Okay? So, how did that go? You know, as you can tell, the words that I'm not as familiar with, I have to take a little more time to read. And that's okay. Hopefully you do the same thing. Just when there's some of those big words, just sound them out and then do your best. All right, so what we're going to do with the time we have remaining, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through the notes page because I want you to have that. So we're going to go through the notes page and then we're going to go back and we're going to go through the story again. But I want to make sure that we get time to go through the notes page, okay? So here they are. Here are the notes for this one, okay? So, una and there, okay? Elat, down. Galelat, up. You walked, times, okay? So, I could say, John, you walked, Haktahun, okay, Taktahun, 3 times turn around, okay? So you walked means times, how many times to do something. Dunanagi, they go or they move, dunanagi. Okay? Wunidaustana, Wunidanastana, Wunidanastana, Wundanastana. To take off running. Wundanastana. That sounds right. Nole, and then. Okay, so since we didn't have a chance to look at the notes from the 7th lesson, I'm going to, real quick, I'm going to pull up that 7th lesson and we're just going to look at those notes really quickly. And that way, because if you're going through and you're using that page to make notes for yourself, I want to make sure that you have a chance to do that. Okay, so real quickly, I'll pull that one up, and then we'll go back to the 8th lesson. But oh no, that's the wrong one. That is, okay, this is 8. Let's pull up 7 just real quick. Okay. Okay. All right. Here it is. Okay. So here were the notes from lesson 7. Okay. So here's the page. If you're making yourself notes, or you're making yourself a little notebook or something like that, or you're writing them in a notebook, here they are. So ulsek means something unique or different. Ulsek. Okay. Ganelon. Okay, that's literally like they lived around. Ganelon. Okay. Okay. Adonai nado, okay. Adonai nado, that's walking around. Adonai nado, they're walking around. Yigin toki, if we raced. Ahid, easily. Ahid. Galohis, I'd beat you. Galohis. Okay. Gagotisko, I see you. Gagotisko. Okay. Gagotihon, I see you habitually. Okay, more than once. On a regular basis. Gagotihon. Okay. Hadon sini doha, you crawl around. Hadon sini doha. Okay. Yin toki, let's race. Yin toki, let's race. All right. So now we're going to go back to lesson 8. And we're going to do the story a couple more times. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now this time, again, you can either follow along with your finger, or you can just listen and try to pick out what's going on as I tell the story. But we'll go ahead and we'll put the syllabary up for you to help you, for those of you that are trying to read along. I'll try to read this first time. I'll try to read fairly slow, okay, so that you'll have time to read along with me if possible, okay? So, come Idalena. Ilahiyu jagesa nigada inage anehe dan plano he ske jisten ulsek ge se gadon ale amon ijul ganelon sawu iga jisten klawo tun amayul de na adana idon Adana no do, huh? Okay, Adana no do, huh? Okay, that's walking around. Okay, Adana no do, huh? Na ju tli u wo tle. Un le na he dan plano he ska. Ju tli u te ne. Do you hi sanul amo. Gado hina u tloyas hi sanul. Do da ji sanul u dane jistan. Yigin toki ahid yigalohis gele. Tla yiga goti skon ga don ha tli doha. Tla wo tu hiwu ge goti ho hadan sini doha. Tla do hiele ni gal stiwu yin toki. Hawa u dane jutli. No da yin toki. Hawa u dane jistan. Gal gog gadusi du nuktane wuna tlusti. Agayi wiga lucha gal gogine gadusi. Widage tlu skesti. Udatlosa gesesti. Hawa udane jutli. Gadu galalat o dala munilosa. Unano galgog gadusi dunisuyesa munatlusti. Elat galalat galgogi wakt dunanagi. Unlena he wunwetlune wunadostana. Uskanoleno gese jistan. Jutli ulohi se le jistan. Jistan wajiniya se le. Wajiniya se le jutli gani data. No le wukila ne jutli gani data. Utlist jutli wutlustana. Gani data wukilon jistan. Wuni lucha galgokine gadusi jutli uwetlune. Unano na jutli jistan uwetlune squil. Okay. So, as you can see, the story is very similar, but there are some differences, and that's going to help us learn even more vocabulary. Just as it is in English, every speaker that would tell this story is going to tell it slightly differently. Most of this comes from Peggy Gertie Flute, who hopefully will be with us at some point during the course of this Cherokee 2 class. But so that really brings us to the end of this Chaneline Jalagia del Quasti, our 8th Cherokee lesson. So I want to say Ihe Dolai, come back, and Wadon, Jadok Sastesti.